Hey everybody, today is June 17th, and today I'm going to talk about the price of Bitcoin. I want to talk about the imminent death cross with the 50-day about to cross the 200-day moving average over here, and what that spells for Bitcoin. Is that going to cause Bitcoin to crash again, or are we going to be able to break above and perhaps continue higher? Before we begin this discussion, please read this disclaimer, and you can pause this video as you read it. Okay, so we've been talking about this for a while now, but Bitcoin basically, of course, plunged 50% over the last couple of months, and we've basically been below this blue line, which is a 200-day moving average, right? And I talked about how it's really bad that we're staying below this 200-day moving average because usually this is 200-day moving average is our long-term moving average, right? And generally speaking, in a bullish trend, we want to stay above the 200-day moving average, right? We talked about how in the previous bulls run from late 2015 to 2017, we always closed above the blue line, right? The only time we went below was back in mid-2016 over here, where we wicked below, but we didn't close below. We came up and we closed above the blue line. But the entire run from 2016 to 2017, we stayed above the blue line, and we only broke below it and closed below it when we entered the bear market in 2018, right? So the fact that we've been below this blue line, the 200-day moving average, for so long, for so many days now, right? For weeks now, that's a bad sign. The longer we stay below this line, the more likely we are to continue lower and perhaps enter a bear market, right? And we talked about the first cross, the bearish cross that we saw, the 50-day crossing into 100-day over here, and that spelled a lot of weakness for Bitcoin. And I wanted us to come up higher because what's happening right now is that we're starting to see a more dangerous cross, which is the 50-day, the silver line, about to cross the 200-day, which is this blue line, right? In traditional markets, this is called a death cross. And when that happens, that's usually a sign for institutions and big money to exit their positions, right? If they haven't already exited when it broke the 200-day. And right now we know that a lot of institutional money has come into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space to really push the price up higher, right? A lot of this run was a lot of institutions like MicroStrategy buying or Tesla buying, right? Or PayPal, Square allowing Bitcoin transactions on their traditionally fiat networks. So if we see this cross and we see Bitcoin continue on lower, it could scare a lot of institutions, right? They might prematurely sell, and that can cause a lot of selling pressure to push the price down even lower, right? Right now, I've said this many times, but we really need to hold this Fibonacci level at 30,000, right? This is the first time we came down in our first correction of this year, January. We held pretty strong, and we're coming down here, and we found some bidders coming in around this level. So this is really our last line of defense before we plunge into a bear market, right? If we come down here, we are likely, if we can't hold 30,000, we will likely plunge down to 20,000, right? And this bull run is likely going to be over, right? Because if 50% correction is bad enough, right? This thing comes down, it's going to be even worse, right? If we plunge down to 20,000 from the high, I mean, this is going to be a 70% correction, right? It's going to be even worse. So I mean by that time, for sure, we'll be in a bear market, right? And Bitcoin seems to be finding some selling pressure right now. Now, the reason why we've been coming down, even though we had a nice breakout above, oh, by the way, this breakout was caused by Elon Musk basically saying that he was going to allow Tesla to accept Bitcoin as payment again once 50% of the mining network is sustainable green energy, right? But right now, we had a Fed meeting yesterday for the Federal Reserve. Basically, there's fears that inflation is going to be higher and last longer than people might expect, and that might cause the Fed to taper their bond buying program and also to raise interest rates a lot sooner and to have more interest rate increases than people expected. So that's been causing a lot of turmoil in the markets recently. Of course, we're seeing the stock market come down pretty hard. That also caused the dollar to spike. And we talked about how when the dollar spikes, that puts a lot of downward pressure on Bitcoin, right? Just to briefly summarize again, we know that in 2017, when the dollar is weak, that usually is a good time for Bitcoin to rise higher, right? For example, in 2017, over here, the dollar plunged pretty hard, right? And also in 2013, the dollar basically was very weak, and near the end of the year, the dollar actually plunged dramatically. And in those 2 years, 2013 and 2017, when the dollar was very weak, we saw Bitcoin, of course, had spectacular years, right? 2013 and, of course, 2017. Lots of buying pressure to push the price higher, right? A massive bull run. But in the years 2014, over here, see this massive rip in the dollar, and also 2018. over here. Strong rise in the dollar, right? We saw the price of Bitcoin basically in a bear market, right? 2014 and 2018 over here. Bitcoin was in a bear market that plunged the price more than 80%, right? So what's happening right now is that we are potentially forming a double bottom in the price of or in the dollar index, right? Earlier this year, I said that this pattern that we're seeing was very similar to 2018, that if we saw the dollar continue to rip higher, that could put a lot of downward pressure on Bitcoin. Now, we actually saw it fade in April to now, but now we're seeing a push up higher due to the Fed news that we just talked about. And that could potentially make this into a double bottom, which is a bullish sign for the dollar index to continue up higher. So we're going to have to wait and see if this ends up coming into fruition and going up higher, or if this thing ends up fading and continuing down lower, right? And I think a key level for the dollar index is around 93, right? If we're able to break above, see, this level, because the dollar index tried to hold support here, failed to hold, broke support, came down lower, right? Then it came up to retest. Once we failed to hold support, this level acted as resistance now, and we failed to break through the resistance level, and we came down lower. But now we're potentially putting in a double bottom, and that could give more strength to the bulls to push the price higher. So we break above, come down, retest, and continue up higher. That increase in the dollar could end up putting downward pressure on Bitcoin, right? Because we saw when the dollar was strong in 2014 and in 2018, we saw the price of Bitcoin, of course, in a bear market, right? 2013 and 2018. So that's something to think about, something we need to keep our eyes on as the price action develops. Of course, the death cross is happening very soon, and right now we're having trouble breaking above the 200-day. So we really need to not only break above, but to stay above and continue higher. That, to me, is the only way we can survive if this thing crosses. Because if this thing crosses, it's going to put even more downward pressure. And I said that many times in previous videos, the more we retest the support level, the more we are likely to break below, right? And the opposite is true. The more likely we are the more we test the resistance levels, the more likely we are to break above. So that's what we want to see. If this thing is going to cross in the next couple of days, when it does cross, we want to see Bitcoin push up higher and stay above the 200-day, right? And that's going to cause the moving averages to cross back into a more bullish posture. Otherwise, if this thing crosses into a death cross and it continues to be in a bearish posture, and especially if the blue line eventually crosses above this gold line, the 100-day moving average, we're going to be in a position where all the moving averages are crossed in a bearish pattern, with the 200-day above the 100-day and the 100-day above the 50-day, and Bitcoin is probably going to go down to 20,000 into a bear market, right? So that's Bitcoin for now. We want to see Bitcoin's been basically going sideways now, but we want to see the buyers come in, right, and push the price up higher. When we look at the line chart, we can see that we do have a slight higher low over here from January up till now. And for a while now, we were in a downtrend, right? We were making, or not for a while now, we've been in a downtrend for a while, but I mean like in this sort of micro to midterm sideways action over here, sideways price action, we were also making lower highs and also lower lows. But we finally broke out after the Elon Musk news, right? And so you can see here that in the short to medium term price action, we also want to see this level around 39.5 hold, right? This is our resistance levels here. And we finally sort of peeked our head above, but we want to see a strong break above, perhaps come down, retest, hold as support, and then push up higher, right? Also pushing up above the 200-day moving average. But for now, we are starting to come down a bit, also based on the strength of the dollar and off the tapering news, right? So, of course, looking at the macro trend, it does seem like we can hold this. We want to see this month close as a green candle, right? Because in our previous 2013 and 2017 bull cycles, we never had 3 consecutive red candles. We had 2 consecutive red candles in April of 2013, right? April, May, and June of 2013. And it's very interesting because the price action is very similar to what we're seeing now. We have 6 consecutive green candles followed by 2 red candles and then push up higher. So it's possible we might be seeing a similar pattern where we have 6 consecutive green candles followed by 2 red candles and then push up higher. So that, in my opinion, is really our only hope. If we can follow that same pattern, Bitcoin has a chance to survive and push up higher. Otherwise, this death cross is probably going to encourage more institutions to start bailing, right? I mean, this is just a traditional indicator for like stocks, gold, and stuff like that. So an institution, they tend to be more conservative, right? They tend to want to risk management is really important to them. Whereas for retail people who are into crypto, who live by the HODL mentality, they're more likely to hold through a bear market. But institutions, they have funds, they have clients that they need to protect, right? So they can't just be thinking about their own money. So they're more likely to be conservative. If this thing crosses and then continues down lower, Bitcoin will likely continue down lower. So what we want to see is we want to see the price of Bitcoin push up higher, stay above the 200-day, and push up even higher and hold above $40,000, right? We're having trouble breaking and holding above. That's what we need to see. Lastly, I'll end on the Fear and Greed Index. We've been looking at this for a while now. It's looking very similar to last year during the pandemic. And of course, this ended up being a good time to buy. But during a bear market, the Fear and Greed Index can stay low for a considerable amount of time, right? So if this does end up being a bear market, it's not uncommon for us to stay below. However, if this is just a mid-cycle top, as I hope it will be, this could end up being a good time to buy. Of course, we have to do your own research. This is not financial advice, it's just entertainment. But hopefully Bitcoin is able to find strength and push up higher. The short-term the oscillators in the short term are looking more bullish, although we still are in a bearish downtrend. We need to see the MACD cross above into positive territory. RSI hitting neutral levels, but we still are in this downtrend, right? We want to see us not only hold above, but break above and flip this, make higher lows and higher highs in the RSI, and basically cultivate an uptrend now, right? Because for a while now, we saw the RSI and the MACD come down while the price of Bitcoin went up. So a bearish divergence causing the price to plunge, right? So that's what I want to see in the short term. Definitely want to see Bitcoin price come up above and break above and hold above the 200-day, because we are going to see a death cross soon. And if we don't see the price of Bitcoin come up higher, the probability of us entering a bear market is a lot higher than us recovering up, going up higher. So definitely we'll update you in the next coming days and see how this price action develops. Are we going to continue sideways? Are we going to break below all the way down to are we going to break 30,000 and plunge all the way down to 20,000? Or is Bitcoin going to find the strength to break above 40,000, above the 200-day simple moving average, and perhaps continue up higher and retest the previous all-time high? So definitely keep you updated as the price action develops and as more news comes out regarding Fed, inflation, tapering, and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you found it useful, helpful, informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. I appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.